We are live. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wise Old Broads. I am Anja, the host. I was going to say the hostess with the mostest, but that's corny. But I am Anja, and I am always excited to come here and talk to these fantastic Wise Old Broads about their wisdom jewels, about the things that they have to share with us. It's always so exciting. Okay, I'm going to try to do it. It's always so exciting, and it's such a privilege and to just talk to the women and to glean from them and see what they have to say. So today's guest, we're having a bit of a technical difficulty with her logging on. I don't know why, but today's guest is Alice. She is a fantastic woman, and I hope that she can make it on, because I hope that she can make it on, because if she can't, we may have to do what we did before, and we may have to just try and do it by telephone. So it's a-okay if that's how it works out. I am always willing and available and ready to see what's going on. I hope that everybody is doing well. You guys, I live in California, and yesterday we had an orange sky and ash all over the place. I woke up and went outside to my car, and there was literally ash everywhere. So it was pretty terrible. And so because of that, the result of it is me having, me not being able to breathe. Yes. And once again, we will continue to do what we got to do, because one monkey will not stop the show. She's having trouble with logging on. Oh, no, she's not. Yay! Hi.
Hello, Anja.
Hi,
Yeah, I heard
you're
everything.
so cute.
Thank you. I heard your introduction and everything.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, wonderful. So because we're trying to figure it out, this is the second to the last episode of Wise Old Broads for season 1. You guys, we completed an amount of a certain amount of interviews. I'm so proud, and I'm really excited by what has been brought on with Wise Old Broads. I'm very excited just with the wisdom that I've gotten. I've gotten really, really good feedback. So, Alice, I am excited to introduce you as a fantastic guest of Wise Old Broads today, honey. First of all, you look so cute. I love that head wrap.
Oh, thank you.
It's really cute. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what's your, where you from? A little background info?
Well, I was going back to the beginning. I was born in Philadelphia, and then I started my primary years in Alabama, and then grew up really in Oakland, California. After going to school, getting a master's and whatnot, and getting married, I ended up here in Atlanta, Georgia for at least 45 years. Time goes by so fast when you're having fun.
So. Wow. So you've seen some changes that Atlanta has gone through.
Oh, many changes. Yes. It's breathtaking, but we know that there is a plan, and we're not in control, so we just roll with the punches.
Absolutely. So you said that you finished your master's. What was your bachelor's in? What is your background in education?
My background is psychology, but I ended up with teaching for 27 years, but my training was in psychology, clinical psychology.
Okay. That's fantastic. Clinical psychology. And what did you want to do? Okay, so how many years ago was that?
That was in 73 when I got a degree. So we're talking about almost 50 years ago. Yeah.
what did the field look like at that time, especially for a woman of color working or decide wanting to work in psychology?
I really don't have an answer, definitive answer for that because
Okay.
I didn't start while I was studying. There were many of us in the program. In fact, it was all female, and we did our practicum work at the Meharry Medical College, and so very interacted with male and female. But as far as working in the field, I couldn't give a definitive answer at that time. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow. First, so HBCU all the way.
Yes, except for 2 years in California. But I was at Talladega for 2 years, California State College in Hayward, and then Fisk University.
Okay.
And believe you me, the HBCUs, they really prepare the students um,
Is
for
that a gospel
what they're
tune?
going to have to do, what they're going to have to do. So they really prepare them. And if you can make it, if you can matriculate through a HBCU back then, right now, then you're ready for what you're going to have to undertake as a professional, business professional. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So that's pretty awesome. And I know because we've chatted that you were a teacher.
Oh, yes, for 27 years in the Atlanta public school system. Um, and the takeaway from there is that children teach you so much, and especially little ones. I had 5 year olds, 5 and 6 year olds for 27 years. So you learn a lot from them. They're short, but they're specific little human beings, and they have their little spirits. And once you get to understand that, the rest is pretty easy. Yes.
What I love about what I hear from you is the longevity. Well, first of all, 27 years and something. I,
Yes. It must
I get tired of a job after 7 months. And I'm
be.
ready to out. How long were you married, or have you been married?
Um, the first time I think it was 6.5 years, and the second time 21 years.
Even that is longevity. That's what I'm saying. So you have longevity with your career, you have longevity with marriages, you have longevity with education. I think that that's one thing that I absolutely admire from women of a certain age and just a certain time is that you didn't give up so easily.
Yeah, that is a trend for the generation that I represent. You would find the longevity. The generations now it's quite different. I have two generations of children, and the older ones, they still, well, the oldest one has been on the job for 16 years, and the other one, the brother, he's been off and on jobs, but initially, I know he was on one for about 7 years. So even they dealt with uh, taking on tasks and sticking with it. The millennial, we have a millennial who's 27, and I noticed that generation is not going to accept or go through some of the challenges
Nope.
that other generations have gone through. No, that's just a part of the makeup. It was difficult, extremely difficult for me to accept that this is part of the DNA. And my getting all in a tizzy and distraught is not going to change it. So,
I need
yes,
you to tell my mom that. Tell my mom.
no, it's not going to change it. And it's a positive thing. Of course, we know that Rome wasn't built in a day, and this instantaneous gratification and entitlement to this, that, and the next thing is not going to happen. But that's a lot of what the millennials uh, ascribe to, and it's not their fault because the environment, television, YouTube, everything is instantaneous. The global positioning.
Yeah.
My millennial thinks maps are those are poison. Well, the other children, that's all they knew. You got grades on math skills. That was part of your education. So there is an instantaneous um, aspect that the millennials are privy
We're
to.
part of the microwave generation for sure. Like I have I think back to it. So I've said this before. I'm in a very interesting cusp of what's called an exennial because I'm
Okay,
at the end of Generation X, but the beginning of the millennial. Like I had no social media when I was in high school at all.
okay,
I mean, well, that's not true. They have Black Planet, but anyways, there's like we don't have the exact same mindset of the exennial. So there's a very small cusp, but I absolutely see myself dealing with a lot of both generations at the same time. And I want things instantly. I want it now. I want it yesterday. And it's been a really challenging thing to accept that no, certain things take time, or you can't just bounce around, be there, here, there, and everywhere at the same time. So,
that's true. But then that's normal for the aging, the development, the human development. That's normal because when
yeah.
you're young, you're going to solve all the world problems, and you're going to do it now. And so that's normal and natural. Yes.
I appreciate, and I truly appreciate you accepting, I mean, and saying that because listening to somebody who's not from that mindset of that generation, it's kind of like, oh, there's something wrong with you. And that it's not. It's just the way that we were bred. Some people are able to just really grasp things with technology. I think about the generation Y who are like the kids now. It's like they come out of the womb knowing everything with technology.
Right. Yes. And it can be detrimental. It can be scary. But yeah, they have. You see the babies in strollers with the little the telephone. Well, not telephone, but with phones.
Uh-huh.
They're busy working. If you go into the Apple store, they have a 2 or 3 foot high square glass table, and the children are not disturbing their parents. They're not running around. They're kneeling at that table, just working their little fingers and not communicating with each other. So it's definitely the fact that they're coming out of the womb with the technology is we definitely have a different generation that
Yeah, I love
will
how sweetly you talk about kids. But I do want to talk about something else, which we kind of brushed up on a little bit yesterday.
oh yes,
I want to talk about travel.
oh yes, travel's important because it broadens your horizon. And so um, I was able to not really travel out of the country growing up. But I do know about the sequoia forest, the redwood forest, different places, especially on the west coast. So, and then traveling across the country in cars. So we did those type of things. So that instilled in me that travel was important because you study in school, but then you have something to attach your studies that makes your studies come alive. So all the children have traveled since they were born, and they've been out of the country. And so we still travel together out of the country. I did a celebration cruise last year, right before the pandemic. Took the children and friend, girlfriend. We went to Alaska on a cruise. So yeah, so we still travel together, and it just broadens your horizon, and that's important. It keeps you alive, keeps your mind active. So yes.
Okay, that's really awesome. So, two things that you said, because you said you traveled across the country. You would be, I don't, maybe you wouldn't be surprised about how many people up until this pandemic never even thought about traveling within this country.
Right.
What I'm saying is that road trips were a thing of the past.
And that's what we were accustomed to in our development. But I must say, my development was not standard or was not the usual. So yes, but it was my parents' decision that you uh, see the country. But
Which
no,
part of it did you see? Like, did you travel everywhere or did you travel through the South? Because I know at a certain point, especially during civil rights time, you couldn't travel through certain cities. And
right. It was mostly on the West Coast. And then in the 60s, when we did have the movement starting, we crossed from east to west, going the southern route, which was really, it was the Navajo, the Indian, the Rio Grande. That's where we were traveling, and then back to California. And
okay,
that was because my mother was doing some studies for a thesis. But so that was the emphasis for that trip. And so you speak of people that never, even the Navajo, they're backed up on the worst land of this country, and
hmm
yet they're the indigenous people.
yeah.
And they let us know this was in the 60s, but it was as though their land was stolen from them yesterday. I mean, the impact is so severe, and that was in the 60s. So you had that group of people that uh, didn't venture away from home and that much, or rarely. And in our communities, I know I have relatives in Philadelphia that never left the area. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a choice you make, and my parents just made that choice. Yeah,
So you said your mother was working on her thesis back in the six. So she's what was
that
she?
was, I think, her third thesis, because she finished UC Berkeley, then she went to Howard University, and then she went to the Pacific School of Religion. Not, not one after the other, but over
Right.
a period of maybe 35 years, she had
So
gone to.
you come from a background of education and educated women.
Yes, yes. She now she was a minister ordained in 67, 1967. At that time, women, black or white, were not really going into the ministry, so she was kind of an oddity. But
Wow.
she did her thing, and my father did his thing. So yeah,
Wow. I mean, that's really encouraging to hear because we hear about all of the things that come against us. You know what I'm saying? Like the things that try to
negative.
hinder us from
Yeah.
being in our purpose. And this was a black woman, obviously had black children in the 60s, and she was obviously born at an earlier time, like in the what 1940s, 30s.
She was born 1915. She'd be 105 this year.
Oh
Uh-huh.
wow, okay. So that's a very interesting time to not be a domestic, you
Right.
know, to actually go and strive for education because even at that time, it's not like it was so free to everybody. And look at the legacy that is left. Like you're an educated woman, you have children who are educated. I think that that's beautiful. Excuse me. That's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, Ansha.
You're welcome. So, another thing that I'm just hearing so many things that are popping up in my mind because she was working on her thesis. You guys traveled, and she was working with the Navajo people, and these were people who were still bound by the injustice that happened to them in their past.
Well, and present. Yeah, yeah. It was an eye opener for me as a teenager, because I really had no idea, knew nothing. But when you do these things, like, okay, that was my exposure as a teenager. Well, my children at the age of 8 and 9, they got their exposure because you repeat what you see. So I'm taking them across the country, Navajo land. We went through, let's see, Shiprock and Window Rock, different places in the same area, the Petrified Forest. So yeah, we do have cycles, and some of them are positive and some not so positive. So we want to continue the positive cycles and redirect the negative cycles. Yeah,
Amen. Amen. That's a word. Continue
yeah,
the positive cycles and redirect the negative cycles. It's not that we're ignoring them. It's not like we're acting like they're not there. We're just
yeah.
redirecting our focus. And also, can you just tell the audience what countries you have been to?
I can attempt. I should have made a list, but um, I know we did a educational tour to Egypt. We've been to Ghana. We were there. My father was being recognized after he passed with the exhibition in Accra at the museum of his exhibition of his paintings. So that was Ghana. Been to Congo. I was taking my husband's ashes there to be buried next to his first wife. So
Oh,
that was
wow.
more recent, and it was I've never experienced the um, the brilliance, I would say, of our people. It was a community called the Kambangas community, and they were the ones that hosted us and saw to it that his ashes were placed next to his first wife because he had been a missionary in Congo. We've been to Amsterdam, London, let's see, Costa Rica, Mexico, sometimes on a cruise and sometimes just flying directly, Alaska. So the list goes on, and it's just something that I've done whether I was working. I'm doing more of it now that I'm retiring. That I've retired, more traveling, and as we had sort of discussed the other day, I do have a business that includes travel. Part of the business includes travel. The other part includes or is specifically for adding additional income to what you already have, but working on a part-time basis. So you're
Mhm.
not adding a lot of time, but you are adding strings of income. Hmm.
I love that. So you were able to take your love for travel, and create additional income for it. And you are not stopping as you get older. As you just said, you're more busy now than
Yeah.
you were when you were working.
Oh yes. Yes.
Maybe it's because you're working in your purpose. I mean, we're not saying that your career wasn't your purpose, but like you're excited about what you do.
Well, number one, you do have more time, and realizing that I didn't announce that I was even retiring because I said, oh, people will have things for me to do, and I need to decompress. I need to get some health back because sometimes your health goes lacking. So that's one thing I want to encourage you as young women to monitor getting rest, getting exercise, watch your nutrition because your health is your wealth. And if you don't have that, you won't even enjoy your later years. So I'm just blessed to be able to continue, like you said, to do one thing that I do enjoy, and that's traveling. So
Okay.
be mindful of taking care of your health now, because
Okay.
once it's gone, a lot of times it's irreversible. Yeah.
Wow. You just answered one of the questions that I had. So that was beautiful. The question was going to be, if you had a piece of advice for women my age, what would it be? And you just did that perfectly. I appreciate it. Um, I definitely am walking away. A couple of things that I'm walking away from this interview with are don't waste my time. And what I mean by that is if your mom could do all of these things and you could do all of these things in the midst of such opposition, which a lot of us feel like we're going through again in this country right now, there's nothing holding us back.
Yes, we should always have hope. And I don't mean to be Debbie Downer or Negative Nancy, but your generation has a cross to bear, and it's heavier than what we had. We thought we had cross, but this is heavier. So we've got to um, keep that spiritual upliftment that we are offsprings of those who survived the Middle Passage. So that means we still have that DNA, and anything is possible. But yes, the road that you have, or the cross, is heavier than what ours was in the generation we're speaking of, which would be the 20s up until, say, the end of the 90s. Now, we know our ancestors on plantations, they had a cross to bear, and we are recipients of their prayers. We're receiving the grace that they prayed for our generation. So it's kind of an up and down battle, but we must have hope. And the one thing that we do know, we are offsprings of those who survived the Middle Passage, coming from the shores of Africa to the shores of America. So we're powerful offsprings.
I feel encouraged. Keep preaching. You said your dad and your mom were all in the ministry, but Lord have mercy, I feel encouraged right now.
Well, it's true. Thank
You're right. You're absolutely right. We can do anything we put our minds to, right?
Yes, yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Miss Alice, I have a question for you. How does it feel to be called a wise old broad?
Oh, I can't adjust to that one. I'm sorry. The term broad. Oh, that just throws a little curveball into it. Because we in our culture, the term is griot or queen mother, or we just have so much other. So I declined.
I love that. You just did that so elegantly and eloquently. I decline. I love it, but I will say you are definitely, as the term. My grandmother was called an auntie mama.
Okay. Oh, that
she was called big sister. She was called auntie mama, and I know that I know several auntie mamas, and that definitely
okay.
was a good term for you for sure. Auntie mama, all the way. I love it. I feel really encouraged, and I do believe that education was your gift, because not everyone is called to be an educator and
you have to love what you're doing.
Yeah. So foster growth. And for all of the viewers, I'm going to put her information to her website link for anyone who wants to travel, because she does have the travel business, and to find out any more information about her. I'm going to post it on the YouTube. Not the YouTube. I posted on YouTube as well, but I'm going to post it on the Facebook link as well, so you guys can get into contact with her. She's an amazing, amazing woman, as we just heard. I literally feel like my spirit is lifted right now. Wonderful orator, honey. Wonderful. I'm so grateful you decided to come and join the broadcast today, Miss Alice.
Well, I am too. This is a new experience, so I'm getting an education.
There was a little bit of apprehension for sure. It was like, oh, okay. But I had fun. I really, really enjoyed you. And this is the one reason why WiseOldBroads is necessary. I pulled out a lot of things for myself. I feel like I can go out and do what I gotta do, in my
Okay.
private. All right, so you have a good one, and we will talk soon, okay?
Thank you. And
You're
take
welcome.
care.
And so, you guys, there it is, another episode of Wise Old Broads. And this is second to the last episode for season 1, in which I'm going to transfer all these videos onto their own YouTube channel, Wise Old Broads' own YouTube channel. So you guys will be able to look at their bios and be able to just watch whatever you need to watch to get from whatever you need to get from them. They're amazing. I'm so very grateful. That woman was beautiful, a treasure, and I am so very pleased to present to you another episode of Wise Old Broads. Tune in for next time and have a blessed one. Bye.